Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
I used to blame everything on the house. Not just the usual creaks and groans, but the pervasive sense of dread that hung in the air, thick and cloying. It was an old place, tucked away on the edge of the woods, left to me by my parents. I'd lived here for years, battling chronic anxiety, a constant undercurrent of unease that no amount of therapy or medication seemed to touch. Every failed relationship, every lost job, I chalked up to the house's oppressive aura, a convenient scapegoat for my own spiraling life. My sister Jenna always tried to lift my spirits, but even her cheerful optimism would wilt after a weekend visit. "Tanner," she'd say, "you need a change of scenery. This place is eating you alive." She wasn't wrong, but I was rooted, paralyzed by a familiar fear I couldn't quite articulate. Then great-aunt Twila died. She was an eccentric old soul, known for her collection of dusty antiques and an uncanny ability to predict the weather. Among the boxes of inherited junk that arrived was a small, ornate hand mirror. It was beautiful, framed in tarnished silver with a handle carved into a twisting vine. The glass itself was murky, almost cloudy. I found it tucked into a velvet pouch at the bottom of a box marked "Tanner for good fortune." I scoffed, tossing it onto my bedside table. Good fortune was a foreign concept to me, but a few days later I picked it up. As I stared into the cloudy glass, a strange calm settled over me. The usual frantic flutter in my chest quieted. My reflection, usually a portrait of weary anxiety, looked steady. For the first time in years, I felt a flicker of hope. I started keeping the mirror close. In my study on my desk, I'd catch myself staring into it, sometimes for minutes, feeling that unusual clarity wash over me. My anxiety began to recede. I found myself focusing on work for hours. Tasks that once felt insurmountable now seemed effortless. Jenna even commented on it. "You look different, Tanner," she'd said during our weekly call. "More present." I felt good, truly good, for the first time in as long as I could remember. But then the strange things started. Small things at first. I'd be in the middle of writing an email, then suddenly it would be an hour later, the email finished, but I'd have no memory of typing the last few paragraphs. I'd find books on my shelf that I hadn't read in years, rearranged. Sometimes, late at night, I'd wake with a jolt, feeling an unfamiliar burst of energy, as if I'd been running a marathon in my sleep. My reflection in the bathroom mirror seemed subtly sharper, the eyes too bright, almost predatory. I dismissed it as newfound confidence, a side effect of finally feeling better. One evening, Jenna dropped by unannounced. She found me in my study, staring into the hand mirror, completely absorbed. "Tanner," she called, her voice laced with concern. I remember turning slowly, the mirror still clutched in my hand. "What is it?" I asked, my voice sounding a little too even, a little too calm. She looked at me, then at the mirror, then back at me. "Your eyes," she whispered, "they're not yours." "And what was that in the mirror just now?" I frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" She pointed a trembling finger at the antique mirror. "Your reflection, it wasn't mirroring you, it was smiling." A cold dread trickled down my spine. I looked into the mirror, but my reflection was perfectly still, perfectly calm. Too calm. Over the next few days, the lapses grew longer. I'd wake up in the middle of conversations with Jenna, having apparently said things I didn't mean, things that were cold, cutting. My sister grew increasingly frightened. She swore she could hear faint whispers coming from the study when I wasn't in there, a low, sibilant hum. I started finding dried mud on my shoes, even though I hadn't left the house. One morning, I woke to find a dead rabbit on my porch, its neck cleanly broken. I have a profound aversion to harming animals. It wasn't me, it couldn't be. But a chilling voice, not quite my own, yet echoing in my skull, whispered efficiency. The mirror felt heavy, almost alive in my hand. The reflection wasn't always me anymore. Sometimes it was just an outline, a shimmering absence. Other times it was a face of pure, calculating intent, a mouth stretching into an impossible smile. I was becoming an observer in my own life, a silent passenger. Jenna arrived one afternoon, her face pale, a desperate glint in her eyes. She'd brought a duffel bag. "Tanner, listen to me," she pleaded. "We need to get you out of here, out of this house, away from that thing." She gestured wildly at the mirror, which I instinctively held tighter. "It's not helping you, it's hurting you, it's not you, Tanner." Her words triggered something, not in me but through me. A sudden surge of icy anger, a possessive fury that was entirely alien. I felt my hand rise, the mirror glinting. Jenna recoiled. "Don't," she screamed. But I was already gone, trapped behind a sheet of glass in my own mind, watching through my own eyes as my body moved without my will. My hand swung not with the mirror but with a clenched fist. Jenna stumbled back, hitting the wall. Her eyes were wide with shock, then fear, then sorrow. "Tanner. What have you become?" she choked out, tears streaming down her face. I tried to scream to stop myself, but my mouth was not my own. My body was an elaborate puppet controlled by invisible strings. The reflection in the mirror showed a face I didn't recognize, cold and triumphant. It wasn't just mirroring me anymore, it was me, the dominant me, and the Tanner I knew was shrinking, fading into the background. When I regained control, Jenna was gone. The door was ajar, a small smudge of blood on the frame. My knuckles were bruised, my throat ached as if I'd been screaming. I clutched my head, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. The mirror. It wasn't a cure for my anxiety, it was a cage for my consciousness. The calm, the focus, the missing time, it wasn't me getting better. It was it taking over piece by piece, consuming the parts of me that resisted. Now I live in a constant state of hyper-awareness. I can feel it, a cold, smooth presence just beneath my thoughts, a perfect reflection of malice that mimics my every impulse, waiting for a moment of weakness. It prefers when I'm distracted, when I'm tired, when I'm unconscious. That's when it truly thrives, acting on its own chilling agenda. I've tried to destroy the mirror, but my body refuses, the thought anathema to the other occupant of my mind. I haven't seen Jenna since. I don't know if she's safe or if I did something unforgivable during one of my absences. All I know is that my only weapon against it is to stay awake, to stay present, to relentlessly interrogate every thought, every feeling, every action. Because as long as I'm truly here, truly aware, I can feel its cold certainty waver, its flawless control crack. It can copy everything, but it can't understand being. And that, I believe, is its one true fear. My only hope, I stare at my reflection now. Sometimes it stares back, empty. Sometimes it shifts just for a second, a flicker of something ancient and hungry. Check your mirrors, especially the old ones. You never know who might be looking back.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.